Hi guys, so welcome to this video. I'm going to be talking about support and resistance, and I'm going to explain to you how support and resistance works, why it does what it does, and how price can move and how it can help you in supporting your trading and looking out for those key areas where price might be respected. So just on screen there's a short disclaimer, so please do read through that. It's just saying that trading the financial markets is considered high risk. You should not invest more than you can afford to lose, and past results do not guarantee future results. As always, this is just educational purposes only in this video, and anything I say, please go away and do your own research. So let's jump into this then. So what is support and resistance then? Really briefly, let me just explain what this is. I'm going to draw a couple of lines on this chart so you can see. And really simply, what you're going to see is I'm on the gold chart at the moment, so I'm going to be showing you some examples of gold. But the way that you should think about this is that price will move to certain levels. So let's say our price on gold started down here, price comes up, it then rejects off this level and it comes back down. You might see a little bit of action in here, then it might get supported here, and then price might start to make its way back up. So when we're talking about support and resistance, your support is at the bottom, your resistance is at the top, and that's for obvious reasons. If you think about this logically, what's happening is when price comes down to this level, it's being supported there by something. So it can't go any lower because something's supporting it. And the thing that's supporting it is buyers in the market, right? So people are prepared to buy at this level. So we're buying here, which is then saying that we've got more buyers than sellers at the moment, and that's what's pushing price up and away from this key level. The same can be said for resistance. So when price is pushing up towards these levels and you start to see that it's rejecting there, this is telling you that this is an area of resistance. And by resistance, we mean that something is kind of resisting it from going any further, so it can't go any further. So this is telling you that you've potentially got more sellers here than buyers, and this is why price holds and rejects from it, and you see price start to move down. Now, before we go any further, I should just say I would never ever recommend just trading support and resistance blindly. It's not something that I trade personally, but it is something that you can be aware of, so that when you are trading, you can be looking. Okay, well I've ticked my trading plan, which is this, and this. Okay, is there any support and resistance kind of key levels that I should be aware of in here? If there is, and it's again supporting your trade, then you can use it as extra additional confluence, because some of these major support and resistance levels, which I'm going to talk to you about those in a second, the difference between major and minors, is some of them will be really well respected throughout decades, and I'm going to prove that to you as well as we go. And the other thing that you should be aware of is with support and resistance is what we then see is, you could be looking for signs that prices are holding here and you can take a trade up to the top. But the other thing to do, and you'll hear break and retest sometimes, so price actually comes below the level, it fails to support it, which now tells you the people that were there before that were willing to buy, they're no longer there. So prices come through, which is telling you that the sellers have potentially taken over here. And what a lot of people do is they wait for this break, so price comes down below the support line, comes back up, retests, then you see something like price action, which is candlesticks and stuff like that, and then we can take the trade from here and we can sell the position down, because when it breaks that key level, it takes quite a lot to come through. So it is telling us that potentially we have something here that's going to allow us to now change our direction. And this is why you'll also see that these levels are interchangeable, right? So where this was previously a support level in this area, so it was previously support all here. It's actually now, once prices come through it, it's now turned into a resistance level. So it's now become an area where price comes below, comes back up to, fails to now break above, making this now a new resistance line. And what we'll probably have is a new level down here, which, sorry, that's a really bad line, but there'll be a new level down here, which will now be your support. So once it breaks those kind of areas that you've got, that's what we're looking at. And this would work exactly the same way. So it breaks through resistance, comes down to the line again, which has now turned to a support level. and it'll be going up to the next resistance level. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of how that happens, why it happens. And like I said, please, please, please don't blindly trade this. It's not something I would recommend. And you should just use it, in my opinion, as additional complements. But as I said at the beginning of the video, please go away, do your own research and find what works for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm on the daily chart on gold, and we're all the way over here in June, and I did this class the other week for our members. So what I want to show you is how I'm going to go back 10, 11 years, and I'm going to show you how these levels are really well respected. So gold, you can see the last couple of months we've been trading between the 1700s up to 2000 mark. So I'm going to literally zoom out and just scroll back till we get some action in and around the similar price areas. So here we have 2011 to about 2013 in all this like kind of area here. So I'm going to show you now how you can mark up the charts, right? So at the moment you can see on the chart I've got the candlesticks on. This is telling me, you know, what's happening on each bar, whether the price is going up or down in that bar. If you come up to the top, I would recommend, if you're going to draw your areas, to change to the line chart, because what it does is it removes all the wicks, removes all the noise, and it allows you to just kind of look really clearly where are the really obvious key turning points in the market, right? So straight away I can see obviously we've got something here, then it comes down to here and it bounces off to this point, and we're looking for those really, really clear changes in direction in the market, right? So I'll come on to this, and this is where I talk about majors, right? So I would consider these to be major key support and resistance levels, and that's because, you know, prices come up to here. You can see what I was talking about, where it's rejected from its resistance. So it's come up, we've got a resistance point obviously here because prices dropped straight back off. Then what's happened is it's come to this point and it's been held here and it's bounced off. So this would clearly be some kind of support, this would be resistance, and then it comes up to here. We've now clearly got some kind of new resistance level, price drops off, we've got a new support, and hopefully you can see that. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to speed up the video whilst I just draw some boxes, and I'm going to draw some actual areas, because one thing you can't just like, let me just show you, you couldn't just sort of put a line like this, because price isn't going to come exactly back to that exact price point, right? So the way I do this is I'm on the daily chart at the moment. I failed to say, sorry, it does work on every single time frame. I'm just using daily as an example for you, and you have a play around with this on any time frame you want. I'm just going to draw some areas that make sense to me, and I'm just going to extend these all the way along, and like I said, I'm going to skip the video whilst I just draw up these levels that I was just talking about to show you how price holds here. And I'm going to change the color actually as well, because my candles are blue and white, so let's make these stand out. So hopefully you guys will all be able to see why I've picked these levels. So here, like I said, this is a turning point, so all I'm doing, drawing my box, and I'm just going to extend it as far as I can. I'll stop talking so I can speed this video up. Okay, so I've drawn up kind of the major ones that we were talking about. So you've got this here, this, down to here, down to here. What's interesting is you can see that I drew this one, and then when price came back through here, it actually held at the one I'd already just drawn. So that's really, really nice to see that playing out on this example as well. So with those drawn, what I'm now going to look at is just maybe some little bit more difficult ones to see, but there are some other kind of levels in and around here as well. So I can see a clear one kind of here because I've got some area there, look. So price actually bounced from this support, it came up to here, it dropped back into the same support, and then price came up, dropped to here, came back up, and then came through. And if you look closely on this one as well, you can see what I was talking about, where once the zone got broken, so price came through, it did exactly what we said. It retested on the other side and came down to the next support level. So it's really interesting to show you. Now, this doesn't always work. Sometimes you will see the price will just kind of overshoot the area and then it might continue back down. And that's just unfortunately sometimes the way the market plays out. You can't be right 100% of the time with these kind of things, but it's clear. It's a good example to kind of show you how that works, and just things to be looking out for. And if it does do that, sometimes I won't go into why it does this, but price might come above, shoot below, and then what you could actually do is wait for it to break back in, and sometimes it will retest the other side, and you can get back in when it's the correct side then, and take the sell position down. So that's just one way of looking at that. Let me now just draw in some key areas in this level and speed this up so you can see. Okay, so now that we've got some areas marked up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the well, what we'll do is we'll go across and we'll have a look at how these played out. So we've marked up all these areas. This is where price went to, and remember this. We're talking this one was 2011, and you know, we've marked up areas all the way to 2013. So this is 10 years ago we're going to be looking at, and let's see what happens when price starts to come up to these levels. Okay, so this is the first area we marked up, and this is now 2019. Price comes into this bottom one, rejects off it like we thought. You can see price comes up, it retests the other side, and then it retests again, and then it goes through the area the other side. And there will be lower, there's probably a level here. Obviously I've just stopped putting them on, but you can see prices obviously come down to here. If we were to go back, we would probably find some kind of level in and around here as well. So I can see already just looking at that there's probably a level right there. So you can see price came through, held, shot through this and held the other side. So again, I'll show you this just so I can skip this on, but obviously this comes apart. I can't keep doing the whole chart. But yeah, so price shot through, came straight to that one that we showed. It did overshoot a little bit here, but then it does hold really nicely here. But any of these areas you can see that price comes up, holds really well, holds. I mean, look at that one, that comes straight up into the area, straight through, straight down, and it's literally bouncing between those two levels that we drew up before. What's interesting is these were the orange ones were the ones that were a little bit messier in terms of maybe within the price action rather than key actual turning points in the market, and that might be why you see this kind of ranging price action here as well, kind of bouncing between the two support levels, because they weren't really considered, in my opinion, what I would count as major ones. You can see a similar things happened here where prices come through, retested the other side and then gone. So that's really nice to see. And again, like, you know, there'll be other areas up here, but I don't think price got there before. Um, Gold has made like new higher highs. So obviously when COVID hit, the market kind of the support and resistance went a little bit out of sync, probably because price wanted to just carry on going higher, so it's not stopping for anybody in that situation. But what will have happened is during this time it's created new kind of support and resistance levels, so that, for example, there'll be one in and around, say, this level here where you can see it's touched twice, and then prices come below, retested, dropped to the area we had before, come back up, retested this new area. So it's constantly moving between key levels in the market. And these will probably line up with round numbers as well. So you'll probably find that if we were to draw kind of lines in and around this area, if I click on this, it'll tell me where price is. So 1892. So if I actually put 1900 in there, it'll be a nice round number for the market makers in terms of what they're trading. And again, in and around this level, they normally go in like 25s, I think it is. So 1775 is probably the area that's being held nicely. Sorry, I should have done these different colours. Let's do. It's not a very good one either, is it? Let's do pink. So that's that area that's being held. So in terms of drawing some lines, you can have the area, but also just be aware of like those key monetary numbers and rounding them to like the nearest 25, I would say, because when people when the big institutions are putting their orders in, they're not going to put them in at like 1764.32. They're going to be round numbers, right? And that's the theory there with that as well. So you'll probably find that these areas, look at that, 1725, pretty much bang on, will line up with those kind of levels as well. So yeah, like I said, have a play around with it, use it to have a test with, use it as extra complements. Don't use this just by itself, because as you see on the chart, price can just shoot past those levels that we're talking about, and that's going to catch you out if you are just blindly trading support and resistance. And this is what it looks like with the candles on. These are the key levels, you know, that are being traded. So a lot can happen in a day, but you know, equally there's a lot of pips to maybe be caught on some of these, where if you're watching price action, stops below the low and taken to the next levels, that's a 3-to-1 trade in a day to the next level. So this might not look very far, but this is a daily chart on gold, right? So if we were to drill down a little bit lower onto some lower time frames, I mean, look at this. You could have got into a trade, say here. I know it's easy to say, right, hypothetically, but this is what I'm just trying to show you, that you know that's nearly a 2.5-to-1 trade, just targeting that high. You could have, it would have gone for nearly a 3-to-1 trade there. Obviously, if you're managing your trades well and your positions well, you're going to be able to cash in on those positions and trail stops and all that kind of stuff. But that's how you can use, say, that they're the daily kind of key levels for me, and that's how it's trading between them. And you will then find support and resistance levels in between these as well. So a lot of people like to trade those as well. So I could draw H4 support and resistance levels now in here if I wanted to. I don't personally, because it ends up with a really messy chart and it's not something I'm comfortable with, but I would respect a daily support and resistance level. You know, I'd be quite happy with that kind of area if it was supporting my trend or my trade directional bias anyway. So I hope this has helped you guys in some way. I'm sorry the video is so long, it's just because there's a lot to kind of rattle through and cover off for you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed the content. And if you do, just please subscribe to the channel, give me a like, and what I'll do is hopefully get some more of this kind of content out there for you guys as well.